Please like, subscribe, and share. Your likes and shares can help us take Athenium and Northeast to the world. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay connected on Facebook for regular content.
Hello and welcome to the second episode of Sites of Socio-cultural Exchange, Festivals in Northeast India, with our in-house team of Athenium. So we have with us today Piyashi and Nandini. So this series has been curated to delve into the complexities of socio-cultural, political and economic milieu associated with festivals. The premise that we argue is that on a global scale, festivals and events with a strong cultural component are substantially increasing in number, and also their socio-cultural impact are also largely emerging to the fore. So in this context, we'll talk about the festivals from Assam. So let's talk about the traditional festivals of Assam. So at the very onset, let's talk about the state of Assam and its demography.
Right, Deep. When we talk about Assam, and most people know that Assam is also called the gateway to the Northeast, and it is blessed by nature in terms of scenic beauty, house to a rarest of flora and fauna, lofty green hills and valleys, rolling plains, mighty waterways, and it is also known as the land of fairs and festivals. Now, in terms of the ancient lore, that it was the kingdom of Pragjyotisha and Kamrup, and with its capital being Pragjyotishpura, situated in Guwahati or near Guwahati. It originally also included, in addition to what we understand Assam in the present geographical context, parts of present-day Bengal and Bangladesh. The term or the name Assam is of recent origin, and it came into use after the conquest of Assam by the Ahoms. It is also known as Assam, and it is a derivative of the term Asama or Ahoma, which implies uneven. And in terms of its boundaries, the state of Nagaland, Manipur, and Myanmar bound it in the west. I think it bounds it in the east, and on the west we have West Bengal, and on the north it is Arunachal Pradesh and Bhutan, and in the south it is bounded by Meghalaya, Bangladesh, Tripura, and Mizoram. So if you look at the state, it has both national and international boundaries.
Right. And now that Piyashi, you have geographically introduced the state, let me talk about the ethnic composition of Assam. The society in Assam is an ethnically diversified one. However, the boundaries between and among the ethnic groups is not very static, rather subject to continuous change. Therefore, it is difficult to describe all the ethnic groups in detail. And one can say that ethnic identity is a collective identity based on shared culture, beliefs, and practices such as language, history, descent, and religion. In Assam, ethnic communities can be defined and categorized in terms of linguistic, religious, and tribal population. In terms of language, if you see, Assamese, Bengali, Bodo, and Hindi are the major linguistic communities. And as per the census of 2011, three major languages that are spoken in this state are Assamese, Bengali, and Hindi.
Yes, means in our discussion about festivals, we can also start with the premise that it is believed that festivals are held in order to promote and preserve local history and culture. So in one of the paper that I came across, it's called Celebrating Group and Place Identity, a case study of new regional festival. So in that paper, it was argued, or we can say it was observed that community festivals were shifting their emphasis means away from the parades or the midways. And now what we are seeing is that there is more reliance on arts, and especially when we talk about community cultural centers. So means it is seen that festivals may also assist in the development and maintenance of community and regional identity in many sense. So one of the things that we observe in Assam is also the fact that in Assam, the pan-Indian festivals are observed. Okay, so for example, you will find Durga Puja being celebrated here, Holi being celebrated here, and also festivals like Eid. Okay, so but in this podcast, we'll talk about festivals which are uniquely celebrated in the state of Assam. So it is through this understanding of festivals that we draw our focus towards a few of the festivals of Assam in this episode today.
Yes, Deep, and just like you mentioned, if we talk about one of the important festivals, Bihu. Now, Bihu is a festival that is neither pan-Indian in character or not observed in the tone of any religious fervor. The tradition of Bihu, therefore, focuses or deals primarily with the cultivation of land and raising livestock, which is also a common element with other festivals in the region. Thus, the rituals and customs we can see are associated and are closely connected with the promotion of agricultural prosperity, then the transition of the seasons, mode of living in a rice growing or an agrarian society in a tropical floodplain ecosystem. And it is also connected with the change of season and plantation seasons. So we can see that with the beginning of both the new year and the crop plantation season, we have the Bohag or the springtime Bihu, which is held in the first month of Bohag, or in the English calendar, it would be mid of April. And the other two Bihus, which also complete the annual cycle of Bihu festival, one is called the Kati Bihu, which is held in the month of October during the time when the crops are growing. And the other is held in the month of January, or the winter Bihu, locally known as the Magh Bihu. And this is connected with the end of the plantation season. Now, we also know that Bohag Bihu is connected with the vernal equinox. And in terms of the Vedic rituals, it seems to have been performed at a time of the year when they wanted to influence the movement of the sun, therefore securing an agricultural or a better agricultural produce. And therefore, one can see the interplay between nature and how agricultural cycle was connected to this festival. A connection between the sun, the seasonality, and the agricultural production is still dominant in the Bihu festival, even in the current times. Though it is primarily identified with the dominant Sanskritized Assamese society, but we can also observe that there are parallel forms of Bihu that are found among other ethnic communities that live in Assam. Say, for instance, the Bodos, Mishings, Rabhas, Lalungs celebrate Bihu in a similar cultural and ecological setting.
Yes, I think, as you have mentioned, that since Bihu is celebrated in parallel forms by different communities, by, for example, Boros, Mishings, Rabha, and Lalungs, so it makes Bihu as one of the most important festivals in the state. Then we also have other important festivals like Boishagu. It is one of the most popular seasonal festivals of the Boros of Assam. The Boros call it Boishagu, and which means the start of a new year. Boishagu is a Bodo, a word which originated from the word Boisha, that means year or age, and Agu, which means starting or start.
Absolutely, Deep. And we also see that people worship the Batho deity during this festival. And interestingly, Batho is none other but the Lord Shiva. On different days of the Vaishagu festival, different activities are performed. And speaking more specifically, a cow is worshipped on the first day of the festival. The second day, this is marked by the youngsters of each family paying regards and bowing down to their parents and elders as a sign of respect. This day is the starting date of the month Bohag, which is known as Baisakhi or Poila Boishak in some other parts of India. They also offer chicken and zo, which is rice beer, to Bato. And this offering that they make of the chicken and zo to the supreme deity is a way of paying homage and worship, and their way of worshipping the supreme deity.
Yes, here actually means I should also add that Boishagu is a very, very beautiful and colorful festival. And one of the very important or noteworthy feature of this festival is the Bagurumba dance. So this dance is considered to be one of the most attractive dance of the Bodo community and is also known by the name as Burdui. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's called Burdui Sikila. Yes.
Yes, Deep. And when we imagine Bagurumba, I think it is very, very colorful in nature, and the traditional dress that the performers wear is very distinctive. The girls, for instance, wear the dokhana, which is a draped skirt. They also wear a sador, or a cloth used as a bodice, and then the distinct traditional shawl, the jhumra. And these traditional attires are absolute necessities for the performers, and the girls adorn these dresses. And while they're performing, you may have noticed, and the girls outstretch their arms. The shawls are on display, creating an impression of the wings. And I think this is also one of the reasons that Bagurumba is also known as the butterfly dance. And along with the female performers, we can also see that the men are engaged in playing the traditional instruments. Some of the important instruments that one can see are the serja, which is a bowed instrument. The traditional flute is there, which is called sifung. Then there is a split bamboo instrument called the thorka. And then there is the khub, a long drum made of wood and goat skin. Nandan, if I'm right on that.
Yeah, and Piyashi, I now remember that they also utter Bagurumba, Hey Bagurumba while playing the musical instruments. Um, and also, there is a point to be noted in this case is that the music is quite serious, and the lyrics that accompany are a description of how the world of nature is, and thus it creates a cheerful and festive mood, stimulating enjoyment and merrymaking for everyone present and participating. The prime reason behind the performance of this dance is to pacify the supreme god Batho, who is symbolized by the Sisu tree. This festival is also perceived as a source of relief for the girls from their monotonous, hard-working village life. And everyone can participate in this dance irrespective of their age, gender, and any other classifications.
Yes, I think means if we look at these festivals, both the festivals or some other festivals also, we see that traditionally festivals and such events that take place, they both means are the result and the signifiers of cultural identity of spaces within which they means occur. So that is one thing I think we can point out when we think of these festivals.
Yes, Deep, I totally agree with you. And in that direction, I can add that, festivals are a variant of community rituals, and they importantly echo, highlight the social order and the central ideas of the hosting community. And I think it becomes a point of reiterating those ideas and rituals, etc. And this was also pointed out by Durkheim as early as in 1912. And then we also see that Gluckman, reiterated this idea in 1952. Then we have Edmondson, Beals, and then Clifford Kreitz by 1972, who argued on those lines. And they also have gone on to say, and academically and others also agree, that festivals are public rituals, right? Staged for the entertainment of the community. But beyond that, they are also the reification of its social structure, which is also what we see in the festivals that we're talking about in the context of Assam and the Northeast in general. It is also seen that just like other festivals, or other rituals, festivals become the edifice, right? And the content can mirror the ever-changing priorities, internal skirmish, and other kinds of cultural differences as well.
Yeah, and Piyashi, I must make this a point in this current discourse that festivals can be seen as the parameters of change and of conflict in contexts where the social order is undergoing transformation, and although not usually examined in this light. Interestingly, while observing the festival, one thing that always comes to the forefront is the notion of a shared cultural, identity, and it cuts across all external challenges, reflected more so in the cultural displays. According to me, festivals are temporal and periodic in nature, which is to say that they are staged and disbanded after the event. And since festivals usually showcase live performances, rites, and rituals, they typically act as crucial agents of cultural preservation and platform for the creation and amalgamation of identity generation.
Yes, and I think means we can summarize with the idea of Avron when he says that culture can be produced and commodified object, and in the process, it is also made available for identity formation. So this idea is characteristically can be associated with both the festivals that we have talked about in this in the episode. Okay, and also I think one of the other point that I can we can think of is that we are going to continue this discussion in our next episode. And since Assam is very, very diverse, so we have a lot of festivals actually. So we'll continue this discussion. And with this, we have come to the end of the second episode, Sites of Socio-cultural Exchange, Festivals in the Northeast. And with the hope that a space for deliberation about exploration of the traditional festivals has been opened up. And we have also provided some of the references in the description box. So stay tuned to Athenium for the next episode of Sites of Socio-cultural Exchange, Festivals in Northeast. And thank you both, Piyashi and Nandini.
Thank you.
If you liked our video and you wish to continue watching it, please like, share, and subscribe Athenium.